Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, Mighty God, and Prince of Peace. These are the words that Isaiah used to describe Christ in Isaiah 9:6. But the part that always bothered me was, why Prince of Peace? Shouldn't it be King? Isn't a king more powerful than a prince? And it's true, a king is more powerful than a prince, but the king doesn't have the luxury of traveling wherever he wants. He's actually kind of tied down to the castle. He's tied down to the home. He's on house arrest. A really good house arrest. But the prince, he can go wherever he wants. He can go wherever he's needed as well. And I believe that's why Christ is described as the Prince of Peace instead of the King of Peace. Because a prince, as I just said, can travel anywhere. And in this case, the prince can travel to wherever he's needed and deliver that peace that we need. And God wants us to have peace, because when we have peace, not only are we able to function at our best in our everyday lives, our day-to-day lives, but we're also able to function our purpose and do our purpose, at our very best as well. He wants that. And when we don't have peace, is usually because something's taking it away, usually a fear or a concern. And it usually builds up stress and tension, and we sometimes get either anxious. I know I get anxious, or sometimes we'll get irritable, or sometimes we'll get angry or grumpy. And it's not an intended mood. Is a reaction to not having any peace. Or maybe you know how to keep a lid on it, but you're staying up at night, you can't sleep. A dentist once told me that people grind their teeth in their sleep because they're stressed. So even the stress is in our minds while we're sleeping, so we're not having a really good night's sleep. No, I don't know if you guys remember, but you probably slept a lot better as a kid than you did as a grown-up, because you was less stressed out as a kid. So the stress, the tension, the fear, the things that are taking your peace away is going to sleep with you. And that's why you oftentimes don't feel as refreshed when you wake up in the morning as you used to when you were a kid. So God wants us to have peace, because it's a healthy, not only is it a healthy way of life, it's healthy for our minds. It's healthy for our minds, and our minds get to refresh itself fully and restore itself fully in its sleep. But some of us, they're not used to peace. They're so used to chaos that when they get peace, they feel so uncomfortable. And I knew this girl that used to go to my church, and I remember one time we were all gathered together. It was some sort of youth thing, and we were all just talking. And I loved the youth when I was a part of the youth. I loved it so much. We really were like one big family. I know a lot of people says that, like, oh, my job's like my family, or my church like my family, or whatever. We're all like, no, I can't speak for them, but I know that in my youth, and now it sounded like an old man. My youth group in my church, we really were like all one big family. When there was a conversation, we were all together in that conversation. Everyone was in that conversation. Everyone was talking something. It was like 20 of us or 25 of us, and we were all in the conversation. There was not one person just sitting there watching everybody. Everybody was just in it, and we were laughing. We were all laughing together. We were crying. We were all crying together. Everything. And that's just how it was. It was just this awesome, amazing energy. And there was this girl, because before I get to that part, like most conversations, when it ends, and because everyone was in the conversation, it just happened magically, I guess. But when the conversation ended, it got really quiet. It was it was dead quiet. Like you could drop a pin on a rug and hear it. And I remember this girl was saying, "Wow, it's mad quiet." She thought she was ghetto, but and whenever that happened, she almost always said that. Almost always said that, and it was almost as if she kind of had a problem with it. And it hit me. First of all, my response before I get to my point. First of all, when she said that, my response to her was, "Yeah, it's called peacefulness." But it occurred to me later on that she wasn't used to peace. She was more used to loudness. She was more used to chaos. She had a bit of a rough childhood, and she's all grown up now. She has a family, but if you know her well enough, you know that it's still her past is a little bit of a struggle with her, and so to the point is that she was used to chaos. She wasn't used to peace. She wasn't used to the comfort. She wasn't used to the quietness, and that's not good, because if you're used to pain, if you're used to chaos, and then you never get to relax. You never get to refresh and restore yourself. And you never and peace. One of the beautiful things and necessary things about peace is that it gives you closure. It gives you closure, and with closure, you're allowed to move on. You're allowed to move on to something else, something new, something better. And when you're not used to that, you don't accept it in your life. And when you don't accept it in your life, you're always kind of stuck in a loop of your past, because you never had closure with it. And you got to have closure. Peace helps you let go of your pain. It's so necessary, guys. I recently learned that. You have to let things go, and you have to find the closure. And if you have a problem with someone, that someone may not want you to have closure for whatever reason. Maybe they're miserable and bitter, or maybe it's just they have a pride issue. I don't know, but they may not want closure. They may not want that issue resolved. And they may not want to move on. Maybe they're obsessed with it. So some people are like, well, how do I get the closure? How do I get to move on if I feel like this issue is still opened? That's when you just have to accept the peace. Accept the peace that God wants you to have, and just move on. He wants you to move on. If that person doesn't want to move on, let God handle that and leave that person alone. That has nothing to do with you. If you want the peace, ask God, go to God for it, and you'll have it, and you'll move on. And that's it. You got to have it, guys. It's so important. It's so necessary, and it's healthy. It's healthy. Your hair won't get so gray so fast if you have it in your life. And it's necessary, especially now, where we sometimes get caught up with our goals, and sometimes disappointments and everything, and we're not too sure how to get over that hump, so to speak. I hate using cliches, but sometimes it's the only thing I could think of. But you have to have peace. Don't underestimate it. Don't forget it. In some ways, don't disrespect or its value. It's so necessary, guys. God wants you to have it, and it's my prayer that you have it too. All right. God wants to go to any part of your life. That's why he's the prince. He wants to go to our lives and give us that peace. I love you guys. God bless you guys. I'm Danny, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.